All right, welcome. Today we're tackling one of the most powerful passages out there, the full armor of God from Ephesians chapter 6. This is the big finale to a really important letter, and it's all about resilience. So let's jump in and see why this has stuck around for so long.
Okay, so right at the start, we get this core command. It's so simple, but wow. The whole idea is that it's not about your strength. It's about tapping into something way, way bigger. So what does that actually look like, relying on that kind of power? This single idea, it's the bedrock for everything else we're about to talk about.
Context is everything here. Think about it. This isn't the start of the movie, it's the final scene. The author has spent this whole letter laying out these huge, complex ideas. And now it's like he's leaning in and saying, okay, so you've got the theory. Now what? Here's how you actually do it. Here's how you make it through.
So this whole final part is really a call to just stand, to be steadfast. And what's interesting is that the instructions we're about to get, they're not about going on the attack, not at all. They're about fortitude, about how to hold your ground when life is throwing everything it has at you.
And this, of course, brings us to that famous metaphor, the full armor of God. Now, we got to be super clear on this. We are not talking about literal swords and shields here. Think of it more like a symbolic toolkit, right? A set of virtues, a set of principles, all designed to give you inner strength and keep you protected. So this armor has 6 main pieces, and each one does something very specific. We're going to deconstruct it piece by piece and see how they all lock together to form this complete system for being resilient. First up, the belt of truth. Now, for a Roman soldier, the belt, they called it a cingulum. It wasn't just for show. It was absolutely essential. It held their tunic in place. It held their sword. It basically kept the whole outfit from falling apart. And really, what a perfect picture of what truth is supposed to do. So we're not talking about some vague philosophical concept of truth. This is practical. It's the foundation that holds everything else up. If you don't have it, the rest of the armor is just wobbly. It's about living a life of integrity, being grounded in what's actually real. Okay, next up is the breastplate of righteousness. This was a heavy-duty piece of gear. It covered the whole torso, protecting the stuff you absolutely cannot live without, your heart, your lungs. It was designed to stop a direct, fatal hit. And the symbolism here is pretty direct, right? Righteousness, meaning moral integrity and just doing the right thing. That's what guards your heart, not just the physical one, but your core identity, your character. It protects you from things that could cause a moral injury, from corruption. Then we get to the footwear. A Roman soldier's boots were no joke. They were called caligae, and they had these heavy-duty studs, kind of like cleats. They definitely weren't made for comfort. They were made for one thing: grip, stability. So when the ground got slippery and chaotic during a battle, they could plant their feet and stand their ground. And that's exactly what this piece is about: readiness and stability. Just like that soldier needs solid footing on the battlefield, the good news of peace is supposed to be the solid ground you stand on when everything else feels shaky. It's where your inner stability comes from. All right, now we get to the first piece of gear you actually hold: the shield of faith. Roman shields were huge. They were these big rectangular things, and get this, they were designed so that when a flaming arrow hit them, the impact would literally put the fire out. Talk about a primary line of defense. And that's the picture of faith we're given here. It's not a passive, I hope so kind of belief. It's an active, dynamic tool. It's something you have to consciously pick up and raise to defend yourself against all those external attacks. You know the ones, like doubt, fear, or despair. Okay, moving up to maybe the most critical piece of all: the helmet of salvation. For a soldier, protecting your head was just non-negotiable. A hit to the head could be game over, instantly. And symbolically, it's just as crucial. Salvation is what protects your mind, your thoughts, your whole perspective. It's what secures your ultimate hope, right? It stops those knockout blows of hopelessness or confusion that can just take you right out of the fight. And at last, we get to the final piece. And this one's different. Every other piece of armor has been for defense, but the sword of the Spirit? This is the only offensive weapon in the whole set. And the text tells us exactly what it is: the Word of God. So yeah, unlike everything else that's about just taking a hit, the sword is a tool for action. It's for fighting back against falsehoods, for defending yourself up close, and for being able to boldly and clearly speak the truth.
But hold on, because just putting on the armor isn't the end of it. The author makes this immediate pivot. He goes from this whole defensive posture to a call for something much more active, something powered by a totally different source, prayer.
So you can really see the two sides of the coin here. On one side, you've got all this protective armor that's designed to help you stand your ground. But on the other side, you've got these active tools, the sword and persistent prayer, that are all about connecting you to God and to your community. It's a huge shift from just defending to actively engaging. And this is so important. This isn't a solo mission. The armor isn't meant for you to wear all by yourself in a corner. The whole system is held up by constant prayer. And not just praying for yourself, but praying for everyone else, for the whole community. The goal is to make sure everyone has the boldness they need to speak up.
So after all this really intense stuff, stand firm, put on your armor, pray constantly, the whole vibe of the letter just changes. It shifts one last time, moving away from instructions and into this really warm, personal sign-off, a final blessing of peace.
Yeah, the author wraps things up by saying he's sending a friend, Tychicus, to see them, and then he leaves them with this beautiful 4-part blessing. He wishes them peace to help with their worries, love to keep them connected, faith to keep them going, and finally, grace, that totally unearned gift that's really the foundation for everything else. And all of this really leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on. The text says the sword of the Spirit is the Word of God. So, in our world today, which is just flooded with information, and let's be honest, a lot of misinformation, what does it actually mean to wield that sword? How do we use it to cut through the noise and find clarity? And how do we speak truth with both boldness and grace? That's definitely something to think about.